I am Nahid Kabbani, and this is the Lighthouse for today's viewers. Welcome to our show. Today, I have a surprise for you. There is a topic different than any other topic we did address in this show. A lady Muslim with a pen. What does that mean? There is a lady Muslim, wrote a book, and this book, this is the title of, in her pen, she described poems and essays from Quran. Without any further introduction, I let her introduce herself and the idea behind this book. Let's welcome our guest, Adrian Jasper. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
It caught my attention, really, the name of the book.
Yeah.
And I saw you when you addressed the issue and talk about the book. It is really, really very nice.
Thank you.
Let's give our viewers an idea about you, your background.
Well, I was born and raised right here in Sacramento, California. And I started writing when I was like 5 when I started writing. I would make up little songs around the house and do short stories. And I really didn't like poetry. I thought it was boring. Mm-hmm. But then when I got in junior high, just for self-expression, I would write. But then in my early 20s, I started going to different poetry readings in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. And just hearing other people's poetry, it sharpened mine.
Yes.
So that's how I really got into poetry. And then when I became Muslim, in around June of '98, my poetry just being inspired from different verses from the Quran, and I started to fuse my poetry with that and take some of that, the guidance and the wisdom from the Quran, and mixing it with my own personal experiences and expressions, and then just creating poetry that had a different life to it and a light that was not there before. So I started working on my book, Lady Muslim with a Pen, between June of '98 and November of 2011. So it took 13 years to finish it, kind of stop and go. So it captures, a mode of, captures growth, my personal growth, and just new information as I grew in Islam that I incorporated. And also, but expressing also some things from a cultural standpoint, but not within the context of Islam, but not, as Islam, if that makes sense,
Explain it in your way.
Right,
the way you understood.
Right. It's reflecting, growing up, African American in America as a woman. So just expressing my personal self and culture, but through an Islamic experience as well. So not overtaking the other. They just kind of came together and, still
Absolutely, you have strong personality to be able to touch this subject. Quran is Quran, and everybody look like don't touch, don't talk, hard to understand, even for our viewers as American.
Right.
Maybe the Quran is the last what they can think about to ask about understanding or something, because they don't know what is Islam to begin with to ask about Quran.
Right.
So you touch this subject hardly, and you make it as a poem and essays and as a woman.
Yeah.
Those 3 things are too strong to be really done. So how did you make it?
Well, just being a poet, when I decided to share the Quran's influence on my poetry, I wanted to also use it as a way for people who aren't Muslim to understand the Quran in a way that's creative, but still universal.
Yes.
And personal for me. So, and just through the arts, you can go to that back door, to people's hearts, and, in a more open way, in a creative way. And so regardless of whatever your faith is, or, your culture, and, all those things that separate people, we still have common, human experiences that we all can relate to. So a lot of the pieces in the book are, just life, inspired from just verses that are just about just human.
That's the religion, human.
Yeah, it's human.
To begin with.
So I wanted to share that with people who aren't Muslim, who, only maybe hear bits of the Quran on the news when it's, somebody's, waging some,
yes,
talking
somebody
some crazy.
bareness, somebody doesn't want to see it, or a story after story.
Right, but I just there's things, verses that made me reflect on my mother, just
and the hijab, and the terrorism, and there's just a lot of topics.
There's this book. There's 19 chapters, and each chapter has a different subject, and from just general stuff to there's a sisters chapter, about Muslim women. I did a chapter about Muslim men. I did a chapter on the science in the Quran. I did a chapter.
Sisters.
Yeah, there's a range of topics. And
mother, mommy, mama.
Yeah, I did a chapter for my mother.
I mark a lot of things, but I would love to have you choose whatever you like to give our viewers from your book.
Okay. I will read the very first piece. I think this is probably one of the most universal pieces in this book. It's chapter 1. It's titled Dreaming, and it's really short. It's only one piece in this chapter, so I'll read it all. It says, one morning I had a dream which went like this. I was standing on a beach at sunset observing two men in a boat. The first man was either the oppressor of the second man, or the first man was the oppressor of the second man. Either the second man's hands were tied, or he just mentally knew his place and would not escape. Can't remember exactly which. As I observed the two in the dream, I asked God why he would allow the one to oppress the other. His answer in the dream was, it's the first man that drives the second man to me. I immediately awoke and wrote favor and recalled this verse from Quran. So verily with every difficulty there is relief. Verily with every difficulty there is relief. Thirefore when thou art free from your immediate task, still labor hard, and to thy Lord turn all your attention. And that's Surah 94 verses 5 through 8. So the poem is titled Favor. God, why do you send me these enemies? Persecution seems to be the theme for me. God, why do you send me these enemies? Persecution seems to be no end to me. Bending and sending me through iniquities and running straight home to you. And God said, man, why do you complain about your enemies? Persecution is the element that cleanses thee. Man, why do you complain about your enemies? When verily with suffering there is relief, mending and sending you through purities and running straight home to me.
Wonderful.
And this was actually the second piece I wrote after becoming Muslim, that where my poetry started to just take on this spiritual tone. So this is one of the early ones.
I love Mama Said a Prayer.
My mom likes that one too. Yeah, I wrote that one for my mom. I wrote that as a gift for her, either on Mother's Day or her birthday. And I wrote it because, I was going through a time that was, kind of rocky, and it's like, maybe I should have caught a little flack on something, but then things just all of a sudden smooth out. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm just special, just lucky.
Yeah.
And then I heard my mother said, well, I've been praying for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, oh, that's what happened, that motherly prayer.
Yes.
And so I will read Mama said a prayer. Mama said a prayer last night to ease you of your troubles. She tossed and turned and couldn't sleep as she was thinking of you. She knew that you were stricken and the pain she couldn't bear. So deep into the evening, Mama said a prayer. You see, Mama talks to God so ever steady, and he hears her. She cried out for your safety when to fire you grew nearer, and you were face to face and hand to hand in Satan's snare. But gently you were spared, because Mama said a prayer. You thought that you were lucky because others didn't last. You thought that you escaped the fire due to your own hands, and God did send his angel to relieve you of despair. But little did you know that Mama said a prayer.
That's wonderful. What about the part before, the Mother Mary?
Yes. Okay. And what I when I was pairing up verses from the Quran with that piece, it made me think of let's see, Mary, when Mary's mother, the mother of Jesus, when she was pregnant with Mary. Mm-hmm. She prayed for. I'll read the preface to that piece.
Yeah.
It says the mother of Mary prayed when she was in her womb for Mary to be protected and a servant of God. She prayed for the protection of Mary's offspring as well. God surely answered with Christ Jesus. The below verse from the Quran is the ultimate example of the power of a praying mom. Though we may not receive a Messiah when we pray for our children, God's guidance and protection of them is sufficient. A cue to all moms. And the verse is Surah 3, verse 35 through 36, which reads, When she was delivered, she said, O my Lord, behold, I am delivered of a female child, and God knew best what she brought forth, and no wise is the male like the female. I have named her Mary, and I commend her and her offspring to thy protection from the evil one, the rejected. So just reading that from the Quran, it was just like the fact that, Mary's mother thought far ahead enough to pray for not only Mary, but her unborn grandchild. And so it's just a reminder of me, how my mom prayed for me and my daughter. And it just reminds me to pray for my daughter and her, unborn. Yes. So just those reminders in the Quran, just connecting it with, everyday life. It just really took my writing to a different level and made me think about things, in a different level. So
It's the Quran or other religion. It's the way of life. Mm-hmm. It has all the direction,
right,
how to live under God's rules to make your life easier. Maybe harder to do, but it's if you follow the direction, it will be easier for.
Yeah.
But you touch base also the terrorism.
Yes, I did a chapter called Terror, and one piece in particular that I really want to read, just to address all of it. So this piece is inspired from Surah 5, verse 32, which reads, If anyone slew a person, unless it be for murder or spreading mischief in the land, it would be as if he slew the whole people. And if anyone saved a person, it would be as if he saved the life of the whole people. And that's Surah 5:32, and the piece is titled Humanity Killer. So it was just addressing, suicide bombers and how that is not Islam at all. So suicidal killer, bomb-strapped villain, slayer of innocent, humanity killer. You scream Allahu Akbar, God's name in vain as you explode insane, leaving innocent maimed. Death is your sedition. Islam has no pillar for a suicidal killer twisting faith for your agenda. Devil-tainted whispers bring you no paradise. The name of God you cry, but the devil's lie you stand by. The name of God you cry, but the devil's lie you stand by. Suicidal killers, unstrap and listen. The devil hates the Muslim and the Jew and the Christian. The devil hates the Muslim and the Jew and the Christian. The devil hates the Muslim and the Jew and the Christian. The devil hates the Muslim and the Jew and the Christian. He glorifies your ignorance, ill-defines you vigilant. No martyr, you're a sinner, humanity killer.
That's wonderful. Let's really have a break and have more from your book after the break.
Okay.
So we'll be back soon.
oneworldforyou.org, promoting cultural understanding through the media.
As you heard, my viewers, it's not a story also. It's with rhythm, with a poem. It is poetry to make you wonder, to read more and more. And I would like to have some more pieces from this lovely book from our guest herself, because her voice, because she believes in what she is talking about. She wrote it down. Let's hear more pieces from her. What you will choose for us?
Okay, I'm going to read a piece that I wrote about Muslim women and their hijab, titled The Loaded Hijab. Stronger than the breath of a right-wing Muslim basher, more powerful than Muslim breath when it's fasting, able to turn heads faster than a miniskirt that lost its elastic. It's the loaded hijab. Everybody's talking and squawking about hijab, yet women are walking half naked on the Ave, exposing their breeches, yet Muslim women catch heat. Why is everybody always picking on modesty? She covers herself because she thinks holistically. She knows men would lust if she dressed scanty. She knows that society is morally sinking. Hijab can remind her of what she's projecting. Hijab can remind her, don't snap at you because you're harassing and laughing. That's a terrorist outfit. She knows that there's ignorance and some people don't think. She knows some are feeding off what's on TV. Hijab is loaded, but not with a bomb seed. It's loaded with fear one God and deal justly. It's loaded with he from high I am serving. If Mary wore hijab, it must be worthy. If Mary wore hijab, it must be worthy. If Mary wore hijab, it must be worthy. It's Christ that she had, and no one would ask why she chose modesty as her clad. Respect should you have the next time you pass the loaded hijab. Boom, bam.
You made it look boom, bam.
Oh, yeah.
What about?
That's right. And
The War is Hell.
War is Hell. War is Hell is an essay I wrote. I went to a poetry reading here in Sacramento several years ago. And sometimes people get on the mic and they really, really think they're doing something. And they're doing something, but not what they think they're doing. So I'll read it. War is Hell, Nightmare at Open Mic. It was my first visit to a Jamaican restaurant in Sacramento for an open mic poetry night on a warm Wednesday evening. In the arena of spoken word poetry, on any given night, you can find heavyweight artists sparring with words, bobbing and weaving and bobbing phrases that sting fellow poets between the eyes with cleverly chosen dialect. That is, on a good night. And then there are the horror nights. On the night in question, I sat in the audience and listened to lightweight poets take their best shots on the mic as they yielded poems that packed weak punches like fists with broken wrists. I watched a young African-American male poet perform a massacre on stage. wielding his cleaver of a tongue as he butchered the English language with every word that splattered from his mouth, leaving the audience to plead with him through begging eyes, "Stop the carnage." The audience was a victim of his senseless crime, the crime of being a serial killer poet, leaving a trail of repeated dead words, a senseless attempt to satisfy an artistic inadequacy that only an American Idol reject could understand. Finally, it ended. There was silence of the lambs. Next on the mic, a young white Gothic woman recited and ignited a fire of putrid flames in a poem that absolutely stunk. Her foul words seeped into my nostrils, and I yearned for the clean freshness of summer's eve nouns and verbs. She contorted her body, hunched her back, and screeched, "I'm a cat, 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 cat." Truly, I wanted to shove a fur ball down her throat. Would somebody, anybody, step up to the microphone and speak words that would cleanse or neutralize her gaseous words? Alas, a young lad with passion in his eyes embraced the microphone and caressed it like a new love, trying to ease the pain from the microphone abuser that preceded him. His healing words spilled ointment in the room, and like the softness of a Q-tip, soothed the audience's ears. He left the stage and, oh no, another poetic atrocity begins. I must be freed. As I sipped on my Jamaican fruit and ginger drink, cool, spicy, and sweet, I plotted my escape. I didn't see that there would be an army of freedom fighters to liberate me from this minefield of misfit poets exploding in lunacy. I had to liberate myself from this spoken germ warfare, committing crimes against human intelligence. I stood up and declared myself MIA, mentally, intellectually annoyed. A casualty of a bad night at open mic. I finished my drink, took out my keys that jingled like dog tags, and simply walked out the door.
Let's close with the lady. Lady Muslim.
Lady Muslim with a pin? Okay.
Yes, please.
Upholding the oneness of Allah with a pen, and the ink is an ocean that he fills to the brim, with ink like the fire that cools you like the wind, giving soul to ink, a lady Muslim with a pen, and bringing his oneness, it's time to bring the thunder, and bringing his oneness, it's time to bring the thunder, with ink like the fire that surges from within, giving soul to ink, a lady Muslim with a pen. Can partners they ascribe to him produce or create a simple little fly, a gnat, or a grape? The partners they ascribe to him must kneel and pray to the same one God as we and they, and worship his oneness. It's time to bring the thunder, and worship his oneness. It's time to bring the thunder, with ink like the fire that burns the lies of men, giving soul to ink, a lady Muslim with a pen. Sing your praises to Allah, make your soul his symphony, playing his piano keys, bringing harmony. And when you sing your praises to Allah, place no partners in between you and his oneness, rise in epiphany.
Bravo. Really, really, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of you as a woman.
Thank you.
And you did something not in anybody's mind, actually. I admire you, and I wish you good luck selling the book, actually. If somebody like to have this book, how we can...
You can go to my website, which is adrianjasper.com, and it's there. Mm-hmm. And I am working to have it converted to ebook soon.
That would be nice.
Yes,
that would be
so
nice.
For Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all that.
And if we like to have like a group of people as event and ask you to come over, Can
Yes, I can. If anybody wants me to come and present anywhere, just go to my website and adrianjasper.com on contacts and send me an email, and I'll be glad to oblige. And on July 7th, there's an art gallery in Oak Park on 36th Street called the Brick House Gallery. I'll be doing a presentation there July 7th, 2 to 4 p.m. 2-hour presentation, and it'll be question and answer to follow.
Okay.
And there's going to be a Muslim woman, an artist, friend of mine. Her name is Aisha Ladan. She paints beautiful Islamic paintings. So she's going to be there while I'm reading, and she's going to have poetry paintings displayed that kind of correlate with some of the pieces. So as I read, then I'll kick it to her, and she can, talk about what inspired, her paintings. Just some
That's
beautiful
wonderful.
paintings. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's wonderful. Me too. I'm proud of you, and thank you for coming, actually. And I would love to have you one more time.
Anytime.
For choosing more. I read that fast before I meet you, just to show you that interest. So next time we will dig in more, and would love to have you again.
Anytime. Thank you.
And thank you very much. And on behalf of my viewers, I thank you for coming.
Anytime. You're welcome.
And for you, my viewer, on behalf of my guest, I thank you for watching. Really, it's something new for you and for me. And I enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed it too. With that message, I'll let you go. We'll see you next time.